The opposition National Democratic Congress is promising a solution-based manifesto as the party prepares to unveil the blueprint tomorrow in the central regional town of Winneba. The party is optimistic the manifesto will address key challenges facing the country. Although the document is yet to be made public, speeches by the party's flag bearer on the campaign trail gives an idea of what is likely to be featured. Marshal Agbaba has been following and has come to with this report.
Supporters of the National Democratic Congress, NDC, gathered at the Jubilee Park in Tamale for the launch of the party's campaign. This event marked the beginning of what is expected to be an intense campaign period. Since the launch, the NDC flag bearer has toured the Upper East region, launched the Youth Manifesto at UPSA, engaged with the young people at Bukum, toured the Volta region, and more. Key among his messages, which gives an idea of what will be featured in the yet-to-be-launched NDC manifesto, is a proposal for a 24-hour economy, which the NDC flag-bearer says will create jobs, and more jobs.
NDC has the men and the women. And it's not like what the MPP said, we have the men. And we didn't know they were area boys. And our first priority is going to be job creation, so that we can create jobs for the teeming youth of this country. And that is why I'm proposing the 24-hour economic policy. The policy is going to be linked with aggressive food production and modernization of our agriculture. And that's why I'm saying in every district we're going to create farmer service centers. We will bring the tractors, the planters, the plows, the seeds, the fertilizer. And if you're a farmer, you must register with the center. And at the beginning of the farming season, we'll give you all the inputs that you need so that you can produce your crops.
The establishment of a Women's Development Bank is also high on the agenda for the NDC flag bearer if elected. This, he says, will provide Ghanaian women with loans for their businesses. The NDC flag bearer has also indicated that scrapping what he describes as obnoxious taxes will be a priority. They include the betting tax and e-levy.
The matter be street matter.
It be street matter.
Yeah,
if you talk pidgin.
Exactly, make that one pidgin. So my boys and girls on the streets, they are very happy. If only you assure us and promise us that you are going to abolish the 10% bear tax.
This one be the yawa of the day. You see, boys they hustle, and job no day. So now the bet they do small, get money for gobe. So we talk already. Say where we come, the betting tax will go remove them. E-levy too will go remove them.
John Mahama says he's committed to ensuring that first-year students at Ghana's universities do not pay academic facility user fees. Despite skepticism from some sections of the public, he says it is possible by cutting government waste, estimating the cost at between 270 and 290 million Ghana cedis. The NDC flag bearer says he will form a government of less than 60 ministers and deputy ministers of state. He says the future NDC government will improve the free senior high school policy and extend it to students in private schools. He also promises to fight corruption and hold corrupt officials in the Kufuor-led government accountable.
Abuga Pele is my friend. The National Youth Authority, himself and others were prosecuted during my tenure. I was not happy to do it, but I mean, one has got to do what he's got to do. And so, yes, we'll pursue corrupt officials and we'll deal with them. And when we're dealing with them, if somebody does the same in our administration, that person will also be dealt with. So I've sounded a warning. Everybody wants to be a minister, a CEO in John Mahamat's administration. If the Office of Special Prosecutor comes after you, You are on your own. I'm not a clearing agent. I will not clear you.
So members of the manifesto team met the Council of Elders of the NDC to brief them on the document. Former chairman of the NDC, Dr. Samuel Ofosu-Ampofo, tells Joy News the party will present a superior document tomorrow.
Well, I think the expectations of Ghanaians is that they are looking for a very credible alternative policies that will be able to address the Hydra-headed challenges that we are facing as a country. We are in a country where there is, the economic downturn. There is unemployment rate has gone very high. The economy is facing challenges. The cedi is still falling to the dollar and has virtually reached its highest peak, nearly about 16 Ghana cedis to $1. As opposed to when the MPP took over from the NDC, when the dollar was just hovering around 4.2. And so cocoa production has plummeted, and today cocoa production that almost went to about 1 million tons during the era of the NDC is now almost below 500,000 metric tons. And so food production and food prices, food inflation has gone very high in spite of the planting for food and jobs that the government touted as one of their flagship programs. And so a lot of Ghanaians have been worsened as a result of the mismanagement of the economy, and it appears that this government has no clue as to salvage the sinking ship of the state. And so the expectation is that the NDC, having a very, very capable hands like Excellency John Dramani Mahama, who has proven that even in the face of difficulties, he can rise to the occasion. We all know during the time of the NDC, during the energy crisis, he came and promised the good people of this country that he will fix the doomsday situation, and managed to fix the doomsday situation to the extent that when the MPP came, they were even accusing the NDC of generating excess energy and therefore creating challenges for this country. So we have a president who has track record when COVID came, but for the visionary leadership of His Excellency John Dramani Mahama in trying to expand the health infrastructure of this country by building the University of Ghana Medical Center, the International Maritime Hospital in Tema, the Rich Hospital, the various hospitals across the country. It would have been very difficult, the Bank of Ghana Hospital and so on and so forth. So President John Dramani Mahama has proven that he is capable, he is visionary, he has a very solid hands-on approach of trying to practically address the challenges of this country, as opposed to the MPP, who theorize everything, but when it comes to practical realities, they are unable to address the challenges that the country is facing. So this manifesto is going to be a very practical-oriented manifesto that will try to address the challenges that we face as a country. It will address the unemployment situation by the introduction of the 24-hour economy. It will also come out of the big push where His Excellency wants to inject about $10 billion into infrastructure development and expansion. And we all know that when you talk about the infrastructure king, it is John Mahama. And so once you are expanding the infrastructure and there are a lot of projects going on, job openings will be there for everybody. Again, the 24-hour economy is going to trigger, expansion in productivity, and thereby a lot more people will be put on the job market. Again, I believe that with the economic enclave that has been created, we should be able to increase trade among ourselves. And for that matter, the demand for production is there. All what we need to do is to put the necessary infrastructure and the environment where productivity can be increased, so that trading among ourselves, even as African countries. I keep on saying that even in the cocoa industry, if you decide that Ghana and Cote d'Ivoire alone will be supplying cocoa derivatives to the African market, look at Nigeria population alone. So we'll be able to set up and expand more secondary production line for cocoa products, and thereby create more employment for our people. So the 24-hour economy will be a game changer. The 24-hour economy will make sure that our ports and harbors are able to operate optimally, and by so doing, a lot more workers also come on board. Already, there has been expansion of both the Tema and Takoradi port, which was initiated by the NDC government. And so it will be like the continuation of what we started. And I believe strongly that yesterday we had a briefing from the manifesto committee led by a chairperson, Professor Kwaku Danso-Bafo, and the people took us through the highlights of the manifesto, which I don't think that I have the permission to put them out because we are less than 48 hours or thereabout for the manifesto to be launched. But from the briefing that I got, I can assure Ghanaians that they should rest assured that the NDC is coming out of a workable manifesto, a more practical, resource-oriented manifesto that will address the challenges that is facing Ghanaians today.
You know, the Volta region is the stronghold of the party, but you have attributed Volta Apathy to how the party performed in this region. What are you doing this time around to solidify your presence in the Volta region?
Right, so we've heard the position of the council of the party. They've given the party the go-ahead to put this document out. And the venue tomorrow is Winneba, the University of Education. And Dr. Peter Otukonom is the NDC manifesto planning chair. And he joins me live from Winneba. Dr. Otukonom, good afternoon. Welcome to the Pulse. And I'm thinking that Winneba is all fired up for tomorrow.
Yes, indeed. Winneba is heavily fired up for tomorrow. And you need to be here to see the ecstasy, the energy, and the kind of activities on the ground. This morning, party people from all over the country have gathered, and they are moving through town, rallying around with brass band, the music, and all that, and it has changed the environment amidst the preparations that we are putting in place for the event tomorrow.
The former chairman of the party, Dr. Samuel Ofosu-Ampofo, says that you'll be...
Sorry, I'm struggling to hear you.
Yeah, of course. And I was asking, the former chairman of your party, Dr. Samuel Ofosu-Ampofo, says that you'll be presenting a superior document tomorrow. I mean, to what extent will this address the challenges the country is facing?
Indeed, the manifesto we'll be launching tomorrow would be nothing like you have seen before. And this is one of the most well thought through, well researched, well investigated, and well consulted documents that the NDC has ever done. And so, just as you saw from the Youth Manifesto, which actually shook the nation, this is going to be a pro-max of what we did with the Youth Manifesto. You should expect policies that we believe would inspire hope and will lift the country from the economic doldrums onto the path of acceleration and growth.
Is job creation the main focus?
At this point, where there is a state of hopelessness, high unprecedented unemployment, your manifestos and public policy cannot focus on any other thing apart from job creation, growth, and prosperity. And so our manifesto, among other things, would be focusing on job creation, most importantly, and prosperity.
You have a background in agriculture, and then currently, as we speak, even in the north, they are facing severe drought, and this has, been extended to parts of the Bonny region as well. The fear is that going forward, we might have issues with food security. The government of the MPP promised one village, one dam, says that they were going to...
Elton, I'm struggling to hear you. I don't know why.
Because I'm sure, because you are also in a crowd, it's difficult for you to hear me.
But I think it's better now.
All right, so I was talking about your background in agriculture and the fact that we are having a potential food security issue going forward because of the drought in the northern part. Now we are experiencing it in the Bono region. The government promised 1 village, 1 dam. I'm wondering what the NDC position is on this particular matter as we launch your manifesto tomorrow.
So first of all, let me mention that Ghana is not at the verge of a potential food security challenges. We have been actually having food security challenges from last year. We have decried the effort, we believe, an effort that is taken over by rent seekers, an effort that is not well thought through, that is not well consulted, and so the policy programs are unclear, lack of transparency as a policy in agriculture and all those things. And that is the result that we are reaping. Forget about the fact that there is drought. If indeed our agricultural policy is functional and it's responsive, you will not have problem with that. As we speak, the dam has been opened. And when the Bagri Dam opens, you see what happens to people's homes. So where is the Bagri Dam going? The water that is coming, where is it going? So the issue of drought shouldn't be the problem of Ghana. The problem of Ghana is how we have managed agriculture policy in order to develop efficient and robust irrigation systems. That has been our government that came to lie to us about 1 village, 1 dam. And they gave dugouts that never held water to about 10 cubic meters. And they called them dams. And none of the dams is functional across the country. And so that is the government paying lip service to agriculture. And that's the results we are seeing. All of us are bearing the brunt of the mismanagement of the Akufo-Addo government in the agriculture sector, and indeed all sectors. When you look at food security, as I have always said, food security ostensibly has 4 legs. And so you are looking at, above all other things, availability of the food. So production of enough food. You are looking at affordability. The price should be down. And you are looking at utilization. You are looking at the quality of the food, the nutritious nature of the food. And finally, you are looking at the sustainability of the food. So that if I eat today, tomorrow I shouldn't go hungry. It is very worrying and frightening that right now it's been published that some 8 million Ghanaians at certain point in time went to bed without food during the day. That is most frightening. For a population of about 33 million, and you have 8 million going to bed without food, your nation is at the threat of famine, and that is a worrying situation. It has to do with both the household income and the production of food, because as it stands now, all our food are imported food. Our food systems have been completely ignored, and the Ghanaian have been trained and programmed to now consume imported food. So every single food is imported. Your economy is also mismanaged in a manner that exchange rate is on the roof. Your cedi has depreciated so bad. So if that is the case and it continues to increase, then it means that food will continue to increase. Then indeed, even if the food is imported, you will not be able to afford. And even if you are able to afford, you can't afford tomorrow. It means that sustainability challenges will also come in. That means that food security has collapsed, and you are virtually in the state of food insecurity. And so this is something that public policy must solve, and that is what the NDC is doing. And tomorrow you will see fireworks. Particularly pay attention to agriculture, because agriculture is going to drive the next frontiers of our economy.
So apart from the Farmers Service Center we've been promised, you have a solution to the challenges that you just enumerated.
Anthony, it appears you have a problem with patience.
Of course.
So
of course.
Just wait small. Don't drink the soup before the fufu is ready. Tomorrow you will see what we have for you.
What will be your answer to those who say that we are likely to hear almost what we were told by the MPP last weekend?
Sorry, I lost you.
I'm asking, what will be your answer to those who say that we are likely to hear what we were told by the MPP over the weekend?
Absolutely not. We are nowhere. In fact, we are so incomparable to the MPP. And comparing us to the MPP is like comparing apples and oranges. What they did is substandard. The content of their policies lack sincerity. It actually lacks even understanding. The source of their policy proposals is even defective. The inconsistency in the policies themselves, the policy incoherence and all that. So we are nowhere compared to them. Even we did at the youth manifesto. And that should be
Well, so we appears to we are not having a good connection to. Yes. Yes, I can hear you, Doctor. If you are making a point about a comparison.
Is that what? Sorry, I can't hear you.
So I asked about a comparison, and because after the launch of the Youth Manifesto and the launch of the MPP Manifesto, I mean certain wording appears to be rhyming. I mean there's a mention of women's bank, for example. Dr. Bawumia says I will set up a women's fund. The former president says that we will train 1 million youth in IT. Bawumia says same. There's a talk of the free senior high school program. All of them say that we are going to improve upon them. So there appears to be some similarities about how.
Okay, so see this. This is a government with reality. A government that is disconnected from the people. A government holding on to straws. A government that has been collapsed already. And they see how President Mohammed's policy proposals have become very responsive to the youth. And how the youth and the people of this country are responding to the policy. You can't stop them from copying it. But all these policies that they copied in their manifesto, President Mahama openly announced them and saw the response of the people to those policies. It will take only government that lacks vision, that has lost touch with reality, and that have no original plans and proposals for the people to copy our policies. And that's what they did. And that's why they are not able to explain the policies as we are able to explain the policies. And so you are going to see, in addition to what President already announced, a bit more strong, robust policies that you and I, when we listen to the modalities and the implementation plan, will be heavily convinced, and at least would embody some that indeed Ghana oil is not lost. And if Akufo-Addo has killed all the, please, there is an ounce that we can hold on to continue fighting for Mother Ghana.
All right, Dr. Peter Otukono, thank you so much. He's the chairman of the NDC Manifesto Planning Committee, and tomorrow the content of it will be told Ghanaians from Winneba, that's the Education Ministry. But some are already speaking ahead of the official launch tomorrow. Some residents of Kumasi have been sharing their perspective on the expected policy direction of the main opposition party, the NDC. Respondents, mainly commercial drivers, artisans and traders, are concerned about the economic initiative to drive down costs of fuel, spare parts, taxation on essential commodities.
For this Saturday coming, Mahama Manifesto want to launch for us. We don't want any waga thing, propaganda things to as a hand. As you know, this is very serious election. So we want the truth from the politicians. We don't want any propaganda things from us. We want the truth. If you say you can do, just come and do. If you say you can do, just tell the truth for us.
Adia Bakua, yeah, papa, JDM, Eka, Ebaya Meda, because Mimi Jadini, Midija, and see.
As a businesswoman, I am particularly excited about the Women's Bank because the interests on loans these days are really huge.
Sometimes you would how
the prices of spare parts are really expensive here at Magazine. If he can include it in his manifesto, we would be glad to vote for him.
Our expectation is to see to it that artisans enjoy their side of the national cake. They should have more TVET training and more training for our artisans so that they can also be abreast with what is going on in the world now.
If Mahama can clear all the police officers who take bribes, I'd personally be happy because we don't get enough as drivers and we must pay these officers too.
Before so be free, 70 80.
Before Mahama exited, the tricycles were selling at 70 and 80 Ghana cedis, but now it's expensive. He should be able to reduce the prices of goods.
So that's it. It's impossible. I mean, say, yeah, for the JM or by the woman, no matter what the tin maso. Man, near panel. What did he tell me about me, Papa? No.
Of course, the day is tomorrow, and your election headquarters will bring you live coverage of the NDC manifesto launch. But you have your own expectation. You can share with us via our social media handle. Let's stay a little longer with politics, because President Akufo-Addo has assured that he will respect the will of the people in the December 7 general elections. He was speaking at the University for Development Studies at Tamale in the Northern Region.
As we celebrate this milestone, I also want to reinstate my commitment to ensuring that the 2024 elections pass off without any incident. My administration is committed to guarantee free, fair, and transparent elections. We've worked tirelessly to strengthen our democratic institutions and processes, and we will continue to do so to ensure that the will of the people is respected. A peaceful and credible election is crucial for the stability and progress of our country, and we are dedicated to upholding the highest standards of electoral integrity. I'd also like to take this opportunity to thank the Ghanaian people for the faith they have reposed in me and in my government these past 7.5 years. Your support has been the driving force behind my government's efforts to transform Ghana.
Meanwhile, business mogul and chancellor of the University of Cape Coast has called on voters, particularly first-time voters, to prioritize the long-term vision of political leaders over their manifestos when deciding how to vote. Speaking at the 14th Kwame Nkrumah Memorial Lecture at the University of Cape Coast, he emphasized that manifestos are not the same as visions, urging voters not to be swayed by the promises outlined in the manifestos alone. Instead, he encouraged them to ask politicians directly about their broader vision for the country's development before casting their votes.
The 14th Kwame Nkrumah Memorial Lecture at the University of Cape Coast featured Ambassador Arikana Chimbori Kwao, a prominent Pan-African activist, as a keynote speaker. During the event, Dr. Sam Esonjona, the Chancellor of the university, expressed concerns over the slow pace of development on the African continent and emphasized the crucial role that the youth must play in driving progress. Additionally, Dr. Jonah addressed the upcoming 2024 elections, advising voters to prioritize the candidates' visions for the country over their manifestos when making their electoral decisions.
This is the silly season of politics, and therefore every day we'll be talking about manifestos. Manifestos are not visions. You must have a vision first before you can have a manifesto, which will summarize what you want to do to achieve the vision. So this is a silly season of politics. When the leaders come to ask for your vote, those of you who are going to be first-time voters, ask them what their vision is for this country and what their vision is for Africa. Recently, I traveled to an African country which will remain nameless. This country has oil. This country has the best forest. This country has everything. I asked how many barrels of oil the country produces. I was told by the Prime Minister that only the President knows the figure. And I'm not saying this in jest, I'm telling you a fact.
Ambassador Arikana Chimbori Kwao was emphatic about the missing links in the development trajectory on the African continent for a change.
Our children are saying we're tired of watching our uranium power 2/3 of France, while they call us a dark continent. Our children are saying we're sick and tired of seeing our mineral wealth fund Western education, don't have quality education in Africa. Our children are saying we're sick and tired of seeing our natural resources fund healthcare in the Western world, while we don't have access to that Western world. So it is the revolution that has been proclaimed, the revolution the likes of Kwame Nkrumah and others had hoped for. While it may have taken us years to get where we are, the unfinished business that our Pan-African fathers started back in 1963 must be completed, and our youth in Africa are acutely aware of that.
Vice Chancellor of the University, Professor Johnson Yakobuampon, paid a glowing tribute to the guest speaker for her works to drive progress on the African continent. Abdallah Osman's report read to you.
Right, I can take you to Parliament now because this morning we saw pictures of, the Chamber of Parliament and all seats taken away. Now, the Speaker, Abraham Babin, has revealed that ongoing renovation works on the Chamber of Parliament will cost the government of Ghana some 2.26 million euros. Parliament went on an indefinite break on the midnight of July 30 to make way for the renovation project, which is expected to last some 3 months. This afternoon, the Speaker has been on tour of the Chamber to inspect progress of work. First, here is the state of the floor captured by my colleague James Aveji. So we have that, we'll bring that to you as we engage James on this development. So James, you're welcome to the Pulse, and take us through what happened when the Speaker arrived.
Well, okay, so thankfully, we journalists have had access to the chamber before the Speaker eventually arrived. Now, when he arrived at the chamber, he was taken officially on a tour of the facility. As you may be seeing on your screen, the current state of the chamber, everything taken out of the room. The chairs have been taken out, the microphones, the work tables, and everything stripped off. What we currently have here is the wooden fittings as well as the concrete floor. Men are at work here trying to fit in electrical wires and all of that, which will be carrying signals of microphones, internet connections, and all of that. And so that's what is happening. And so when he came, he was taken on a tour by the project managers in here. And after that, he had a demonstration of the new work tables that will be used in the chamber. In fact, these are digitalized tables, as he called it. The long-term goal is to transform this house into a biometric one. Now, upon the press of a button, a monitoring screen appeared on the table, and that, we are told, will be used by every member of the House, including the Speaker. On that monitoring screen will contain the proceedings of the House. If bills are supposed to be transmitted to the floor, statements are supposed to be taken, everything would be on that digital screen. Now, it is interesting to also know that members would be registering or taking attendance through that digital screen when they appear on the floor of the House. Just upon the press of a button, the Clerk of Parliament will take their attendance, and that has a fingerprint of every single member of the House, and so would address issues of someone taking attendance for another member of the House. And so he was taken through all of that before he finally addressed us on the full details of the renovation and the details, what goes into it and all of that. And so that was the initial part of the exercise when he came into the chamber.
So when you spoke to the media, what exactly did you pick out of this interaction?
Well, the key issues are that this work hasn't started on during his tenure. Interesting to know that this whole renovation was commissioned by the former Speaker of Parliament, Edward Duajaho, in 2014. Now, when the other Speaker, Professor Aaron Michael Okwe took over, there was some renegotiation of the project. And after that renegotiation, it was agreed that instead of the initial project, the parliament, the floor should be, transmitted into a biometric system. That process, according to the speaker, went through some competitive tendering and finally awarded to Parliamentary Bag Limited, which are currently undertaking Africa Bag Limited, which are currently undertaking the renovation project. Now, that is where he revealed that the entire project would cost us some 2.26 million euros. Now, that includes new work tables. It is unclear whether the chairs will also be replaced. That is unclear for now. But new work tables will come, which will be the biometric tables. That would also include all the equipment that will be fitted on the tables. Now, he also indicated that as for the hard tables, will be manufactured here in Ghana. You remember the whole incident or the whole issue that, coupled the new chairs that were imported from China, fitted into the chamber and all of that. He said this time around, the furniture would be made here in Ghana, except the other equipment that will be installed on them. That will be imported from outside the country. He also indicated that this way is supposed to take care of, sometimes you recall the incident that happened on the floor of Parliament during the 7th of January 2021, in inauguration of Parliament, right, where there was voting issues with voting and all of that. He said voting and quorum issue will be taken care of by all of this. And so those are the details he's been sharing with us.
So, now, James, if I understand you, in terms of voting, now if the new configuration is done, members can sit in the comfort of their zone and vote electronically without necessarily moving from their zone to cast a vote, regardless of whether the vote is a head count or a secret ballot.
Exactly the point of the speaker. So they will just sit right in their chairs and take a yes or no or a vote from the comfort of their chairs. We will not see papers used to mark votes of members and papers flying around, others stewed as we saw on the 7th of January. All of those things will be taken care of through the biometric system. Issues of quorum, whether they have the numbers, who was present on the floor on a particular day and who was absent on a particular day. For instance, during the Sarah Joasafo issue about whether she absent herself up to the 15th time and whether she should be expelled from the floor, the controversy about the actual number of times she absent herself from the floor became a big issue. That, through the biometric system, should be taken care of if another incident should present itself. Now, Elton, the bigger question is...
Yes, because before we get to that, I know that Parliament went on recess some few weeks ago, indefinitely. I'm wondering whether, because we're not told that this was going to be, we were not told of this renovation work. We woke up this morning to get this picture. Did the speaker come in the company of some MPs? Are members aware of what is happening now on the floor of Parliament?
Just a handful of MPs. I could count about 3 or 4, 5 of them, but none of the leadership or the leaders of both sides of the floor was with him. The majority leader, Onyumakin, wasn't in attendance. The minority leader, I saw Honorable Gavin Agboja earlier before the speaker came to the floor. The minority leader himself, Atu Forsin, his deputies, were not present with him. So it was essentially the speaker himself and the parliamentary service team who did this inspection. And so that's the team that accompanied him to come to do the inspection.
All right. And
to that issue...
And then the other matter, remember that some 2 weeks ago, the majority leader wrote to the speaker, of course, constitutionally, having the required signatures to force the Speaker to recall Parliament from that break. Now, the Speaker's response to that letter indicate that they will have the recall on September 3rd. Now, you are saying that this work that is currently ongoing in the chamber will be done between 2 and 3 months. Did the Speaker announce how they're going to contain this emergency recall on September 3rd?
That's the question I put to him when he gave the opportunity. Now, he indicates that as for a recall of Parliament, Parliament can be recalled. The recall is essentially different from Parliament sitting to do parliamentary business.
Right.
And so the recall of September 3 is actually still in course. Nothing is changing about that. But as to where exactly they would have to converge at on the 3rd of September is the main issue now. I indicated that during the COVID-19 era, when there was the issue about social distancing and all of that, LT, you remember that they put up some tents on the premises of Parliament, and that is where Parliament had to sit. He made example of the fact that even before we moved from presidential inaugurations from the Independence Square to the floor of the House, sometimes they have to do all of that outside the chamber.
Right.
Now, he has not decided yet where exactly they would have to converge on the 3rd of September as part of the recall processes. He is not clear in his mind where they would have to converge yet. It could be anywhere on the premises of Parliament. It could be at any conference room that he deems suitable to do the work of Parliament. It could even be, according to him, out of Accra or the capital of the country. And so he's not certain yet where exactly they will be sitting. But as for that recall of September 3, Parliament will be recalled and they would have to converge. We would have to give him some time between now and 3rd of September to know where exactly they will be converging to actually obey that provisions of the standing orders of Parliament. And so he's yet not clear about that, LT.
I remember the last time Parliament went on a break because they had to undertake some works in the Chamber of Law. That birthed what you are seeing on your screens now. Parliament sat at the Accra International Conference Center. Well, we'll wait till September 3rd to know where exactly they will sit. So James, thank you very much for your time. And we'll have more. We'll hear from the Speaker in subsequent bulletins, of course, on Joy News Prime and, of course, on Joy 99.7 FM. But this is the pause. We're taking a short break. When we'll come back, we'll hear the lamentation of pharmacists who went on housemanship but are yet to be paid. And also hear why Guta is kicking against the newly passed Ghana Standards Authorities Law. We have that for you. Ghana Shippers Authorities Law, we have that for you after this break. You're welcome back. This is a pause here on Joy News, and let's do some other stories now. The Ghana Union of Traders is rejecting government-proposed import licensing regime as they urge President Akufo-Addo to withhold assent to the controversial Ghana Shippers Authority Act. Under the newly proposed Ghana Shippers Authority Act 2024, importers and shipping service providers will be required to register with the Ghana Shippers Authority and submit shipment notice, a move seen by traders as burdensome and unnecessary. The Act also reinstates the Advanced Shipment Information System, which had previously been resisted and withdrawn after pushback from the business community. Dr. Joseph Abem, President of the Ghana Union of Traders, argues that the government failed to consult key stakeholders before Parliament passed the Act. And he will join us shortly. But first, we have on your screens the matters leading up to the passage of this particular bill, which is now law. But let me bring in, we'll have that for Dr. Joseph Abem, President of the Ghana Union of Traders Association, as he joins me via Zoom. Dr. Abem, good afternoon, welcome. So what really is your issue with this law?
So we are being made to apply for registration before we import our goods. And then if you refuse to register before your goods come in, you are being made to pay 60,000 fine or imprisonment. Who is going to take this?
But what is wrong? So what is wrong?
We are being ushered into import. We are being ushered into import license regime or import permit regime. And we are not going to do that. It's archaic. We are in trade liberalization. Under trade liberalization, there shouldn't be any impediment for doing business. And that they have the right to revoke this registration. They also have the right to cancel the registration. It means that they are only giving you permit to trade. And we are not going to allow that. And then also, they are demanding documents, advanced shipping documents to be given to them before they can allow clearance, which is also not correct because they are not customs officers, they are not GRA, they are not ICAPs, and they don't have any relevance to these documents. And if you recall when they wanted to introduce ASHI in the past, about 10 years ago, a business community resisted it, and the government then withdrew it. So they don't have any locals in all this. As a matter of fact, when we registered this protestation, they told us that they are going to use the LI and that they accept our concerns, but they will use the LI to solve those issues. But the LI cannot override the Act. You understand? The Act is, and that's why...
that's why we have these concerns. You are asking the president not to assent to it.
We should solve all the critical issues. Exactly.
Right. Dr. Obena, I will bring in a member of the Trade and Industry Committee in Parliament, Ibrahim Mutala Mohammed, to help us understand some of the concerns and whether they sit well with the bill that has not been passed into law. But, I mean, from the little understanding that I got, this particular bill that's been passed by Parliament aims to empower the state agency to address long-standing issues of unfair charges, lack of transparency, and ineffective regulation that have plagued the economy. You should be interested in making things free, fair, open for everybody so that we can all have a good day, especially as it relates to shipping. Hello, Dr. Obin. We appear to have lost Dr. Obin on the line.
Yes, your line was breaking.
Yeah, so I was saying that...
Your line was breaking, seriously.
Right, Dr. Obin, if you can hear me, I'm saying that the little that I've read from the bill, it is only seeking to empower the state agency to address this long-standing issue of unfair charges, lack of transparency, and ineffective regulation that have plagued the blue economy. And you shouldn't have issue with this.
So what has unfair charges got to do with registration of your customers, the shipper?
I'm sure for the sake of transparency.
Who you have to protect.
I'm sure for the sake of transparency.
They are putting another layer of frustration. Transparency, what transparency? Everything that you seek, you can get it from ICAMs. If you can get it from ICAMs and you don't need those information from us, for us to add another layer of doing business, and it's not fair. The trade facilitation that we all seek and does not allow that we put another layer of frustration going to register for somebody to approve before you can go and import your goods, and then you pay goes to the cost they have that to also cancel or withdraw your registration. Then it means that we are import license regime or import permit regime, which is archaic, and we will not going to allow that. It's not modernity. We are not going to allow that.
All right.
And we are in a liberalized state. And that if somebody is going to Dubai, then the person have to come and seek for a registration before the approval comes. Then he goes. What kind of system is that? And then you said that we should bring our documents, and you are not customs, you are not GRA, you are not ICAMs. So what you don't have any relevance for these documents for your operations. So it's not in good state at all. It's not necessary. This thing is not necessary. There are issues about unfair charges.
Yes, Dr. Obi, just 1 second. I'm going to get a response for you, but let me ask. This bill was first introduced in Parliament. It went through first reading, second reading. Members, accepted the report of the Trade and Industry Committee. And then the next stage was for them to open the space to allow people to bring in inputs, met with interest groups before, went through consideration of the various clauses, and then before it was passed. Long process. Are you saying that you didn't hear of it at all before it was passed?
It was done on the blunt side of us. Even when we were caught that they are laying it in Parliament and that we are seeking for the draft document, they never sent the document to me until after it was Parliament has passed the law. The following day, then GSA gave me the draft document. I said, this is deception. This is not fair. This is not fair at all. And so they did this on the downside. Because the things that we were all pushing for is for
all right, Dr. Obin, hold it for me. Let me get a response from Ibrahim Mutala Mohammed, Member of Parliament and a member of the Trade and Industry Committee. Honorable, you welcome to the post. Are you in Winneba already?
No, not yet. Not yet, actually.
All right. But do you have a response for GUTA? They say that they were not, they didn't hear of this bill at all.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we have Honorable Mutala, member of the Trade and Industry Committee. Dr. Obin, if you can hear him, because of the concerns you've raised, perhaps he has some answers for us.
Well, I'm not too sure whether I would be a better person to be responding to Dr. Obin in the matter of the assertion that they were not consulted when the bill was made into law. And I say this because Parliament is a legislative house. Bills are brought to Parliament by government, except when you have private member bills. But in this case, it was a bill that was brought to Parliament by the Ministry of Trade and for the purposes of enacting a law that will replace the existing law on commercial shipping lines and their operation. Mind you, the previous law had been the law we operated with for 50 years or more. So it was imperative that we look at the changes of shipping in, industry and the circumstances therein. As a matter of fact, several members of Parliament had some problems with some of the clauses. I remember I was, profoundly involved at the consideration stage where we were looking at clause by clause in the matter of having access to ships that were brought. In fact, the law initially proposed that our security agencies can't get into any ship at any point in time, or all other security government agencies operating at the port could do that, and some of us had problems with it. Now, if it is true that GUTA, which is a major stakeholder in this, shipping industry, is not consulted at all, that for me, they will have a justified case for government to look at it critically. But if it is indeed government felt that their, involvement was not going to make any difference, they need to be explained to us why.
But at the committee level, usually from the little that I understand with the way Committee of Parliament work, when the bill is referred to you, you open it up for interest group to send petitions here and there. Sometimes you engage them to fine-tune the bill.
Well, maybe we need to find out why the chairman of the Committee for Trade and Industry didn't see the need to engage a body such as GUTA. I don't know. I have worked with GUTA when I was the Deputy Minister for Trade and Industry. And Dr. Obin would agree with you, with me, that I had an open door policy with them. And every single government policy decision we made at the Ministry of Trade, we involved GUTA and other, major players in the industry. So it would be very shocking to me if they were not consulted at all. That's why I'm saying that I don't think I'll be in the better position
Absolutely.
to give response. Because the reason is that sometimes the consultation could be done at the level of the agency and the ministry with groups such as GUTA. So assuming that the ministry or even standard authority get engaged with GUTA members, I wouldn't be in the position to expatiate on that. And that's why I say that I will not be able to answer the question whether indeed they were consulted or not consulted, as to whether they have some justification in some of the concerns they raised. My statement, my position is that if they were not consulted at all, then that's a serious defect on the law. And I think that something ought to be done about it.
They say that they have difficulty accepting this provision in the bill, which says that they should register with the authority before they can even import, stuff into the country.
Well, they'll have you see, the other leg of it is that, we passed the International Trade Facilitation Law in 2016. And if you look at that law seeks to remove difficulties that traders may go through in terms of both trading, in this case, importing and exporting. Now, if the actions of government through this new law or this new, act is going to serve as an instrument on easy trade transactions within Ghana and across the globe, they may have a case. And that's why I'm saying that it should be important we look at it in detail. Because you see, no one would appreciate what importers and exporters go through than the people who are engaged in it. Now, if you are passing a law that ostensibly will be dealing with importing and exporting, everything about shipping is about importing and exporting, and that body says that they were not consulted, that for me would be a serious problem.
Parliament has done its work. I mean, I don't know the window that is open for them. The president, we are not sure whether he's assented to it. Is there any window, that they can exploit?
Yes, there is. I mean, given his assent by the president, when a law is passed by Parliament or a bill is enacted into law, it becomes law when the president gives his assent. The president can give his assent to that law, but with some caveats. The president can write to Parliament saying that, look, I'll give my assent, but I think they should take a second look at ABCD. No, the president can do that. So if they're able to convince the presidency, and I think that the presidency should be convinced if indeed they were not consulted, the presidency can say, okay, we'll give our assent, but on this ABC. The Parliament is a master of its own, rules. So we can look at it in that perspective. So I can say that there's a remedy to this challenge if the president is willing to listen to them, or if the executive arm is willing to listen to them. They can write to Parliament, and given the assent, the president can say that, look, I'll give my assent based on ABCD. Or the president can say that, okay, I decline to give my assent on this. Of course, Parliament will have a process. If Parliament wants it to be law in a way, I think the Parliament can still find a way to remedy the solution. I think it's a serious matter. It's a serious matter if they were not consulted at all.
Right. Honorable Ibrahim Murtala Mohammed, I wish you a safe journey to Winneba.
Thanks so much.
All right. So let me bring in again the president of GUTA. And the Shippers Authority, they have a statement on this developing matter. Dr. Obin, you heard a member of the Trade and Industry Committee. In fact, he's a deputy ranking member on the committee. He says he cannot recall whether you appeared before. So clearly there is some, confirmation of that matter.
I'm telling you the truth.
Of course.
So we had,
yeah, please go on.
A committee. We have a committee that evaluated the freight charges and then the extortion by the shipping lines and all that. We did it for a year, and that's what we did. And all that we sought was to get powers for Ghana Shippers Authority so that they will be able to deal with these shipping lines. So the mandate of Ghana Shippers Authority is to protect and then support the cause of businesses or importers, but not the other way around, to put another layer of frustration by this registration and the permits and licenses. It is not in the purview of Ghana Shippers Authority to allow us before we can import. It's never done anywhere. We are in trade liberalization. They can never do that. In the registration, they can cancel it, they can revoke it, or they can withdraw it. What does that mean? It means that they have to allow one before one can import goods into the country. What kind of system is this? And then in absence of registration, you are being made to pay 60,000. It's 5,000 units, which each unit is 12 cedis.
Right.
So times 5, so times 5,000 is 60,000. I hope you get me.
Yes, I do.
Or you get imprisonment. What is it? That I have to be in prison because I did not register the goods that I'm going to import. This is a bad law. They should just
take it away.
President shouldn't
sign on to it.
Go back to it. Let's solve the critical. Let's solve the critical issues that we have raised. And then what they have to do is to protect us, to make sure that the shipping lines do the right thing, and they give us right charges and all that. But if we say that we are supporting you to get some powers to be able to deal with the shipping lines, charges and all that, you do not turn your back and come and destroy the shippers that you have to protect. This we are not going to allow. It's not fair.
Let me bring in the Shippers Authority. They've just released a statement addressing the concerns that you have. So please hold on for me. Let me bring in my colleague Samuel Kojo Brace with details of the statement, and then I can get your response to that. So Brace, what exactly is the Shippers Authority saying?
Well, Elton, the Shippers Authority is basically saying that what they want to do, a lot of the things are already in law. For example, they say that registration only means registration, and by no stretch of imagination should it be construed as a licensing regime. They say that this has been explained and discussed with the stakeholders, including GUTA. Registration of shippers is not a new introduction. It has always been in the laws of Ghana. And they quote Section 1 of LI 1347, 1987, and Section 2 of LI 2190, 2012, provided for registration of shippers by the Ghana Shippers Authority. Now, they go ahead to address the concerns by GUTA that the submission of notice of shipment was also not discussed with them for their input. Now, the Shippers Authority is explaining that submission of notice of shipment has also always been in the laws of Ghana. Section 8 of LI 1347, that's 1987, and then in Section 12 of LI 2190, 2012, provides for shipment notification by shippers. So they conclude to say that they believe that where goods are legally shipped, submission of shipment notification must not evoke fear. So what they're basically saying that what they intend to do must not put fear in anybody. Now, they also go ahead to address issues about consultations that, GUTA is saying that a final draft was issued to stakeholders only after Parliament approved the bill. Now, Shippers Authority is saying that the statement by GUTA suggests a lack of understanding of the parliamentary process on the passage of bills, and unfortunately implies an attempt to overreach Parliament in the performance of its constitutional duty. They want to assure the business community and the public that stakeholders, including GUTA, and they say were amply engaged, and the Ghana Shippers Authority has been in continuous engagement with stakeholders since the law was passed, as stated above in the preamble of the statement. Now, they say that their doors remain open to such collaborative approach to dealing with any issues that affect the mutual good of Ghanaians. So GUTA, opening, the GSA says is still there for them to continue engaging. They again say that, the advanced shipping notification is not new. It is contained in LI 2190/2012, which is currently in force. Under the new law also, it will be operationalized through an LI. The Ghana Standards Authority is currently in ongoing consultations with stakeholders to pool input for the yet to be passed LI. They further affirm that the intention of the ASM is to help shippers in their pre-arrival clearance processes at the port to enable the speed required to forestall avoidable costs such as demurrage. So in their statement, they want to rather save importers from paying a lot of demurrage, and that's why they are doing that. Now, they conclude by saying that the assurances they gave on the consensus by stakeholders so far have been misunderstood. But once again, they reiterate that the new LI, which will operationalize the law, will provide better clarity on the provisions that seem inhibitive to carrying on of profitable commercial shipping business in Ghana. Every effort is being made to ensure that Ghana remains well aligned to global standards of shipping and is thus a competitive route for international trade. So that's what the Shippers Authority is saying, that everything they are doing is to help Ghana, the trade in Ghana become better, and that they are not doing anything to inhibit trade here, and that their doors are open. GUTA can always engage so that they shape how the business of shipping is done in Ghana.
All right, Kajobri, thank you so much for this intervention coming in from the Ghana Shippers Authority. Dr. Oben, you heard them. You disagree?
Yeah, so there's no truth in this. They even told us, when we raised these issues, they told us that it's the Attorney General that advised them to put the withdrawal, cancellation, and then the punitive measures into this act. What are they telling us? So they just told us, and then they said that they are going to rectify it with the LI. In any case, if you are going to help me to facilitate my trade, do you have to give me punishment that I will go into prison? If your duty is to facilitate my trade, to make my trade worthwhile, as they are portraying, do you have to put punitive? It's for their own interest. This is about the internal generation of funds and all that. And then they will do this and they charge us fees for documents. But in any case, these documents are always brought in advance to ICANNs, to Ghana Customs.
Right.
So what do they need these documents for? Are they the clearing agents? They are not clearing agents. Neither are they customs or DRE. They don't have any operational issue with our documents. So they are just seeking these documents just to get some monies and all that from us.
But there was some kind of consultation. There was some kind of consultation.
No. What I've told you, I've been in this for so many years, so you should understand, you should trust me. Even before the new chief executive came, I said we what we have done, and that we sat through was the charges, the free charges that the shipping lines were charging, some of them illegitimate and all. We sat through for more than a year and put the report to the Minister of Transport to deal with it, and also to get some powers for the Ghana Shippers Authority so that they can deal with those illegitimate charges.
All right.
These were the things that we were contending with. We never discussed any registration. We never discussed any advance shipment documents being given to them. And in any case, if we were involved, why were they avoiding us to have a look at the draft until after the bill is passed or the act is passed before they give to us? There's some kind of deception here, and it's not fair. Nobody is going to succumb to this law that we have to be given a permit or license through a disguise on in registration. In that case, the first one that they said it was there. They didn't have cancellation, they have withdrawal, they didn't have all these punitive things in there. But that's what they told us. That is the Attorney General that even advised them to add those things to make it fair. Right. But when you do that, it means that you are punishing us. That you are creating another layer of frustration. That when I'm going to import, I have to come to Shippers Authority, apply, give me license, and then if you don't want to give me, if you don't approve, and then somebody will be delaying me and all that. Trade facilitation is ease, time, and cost of doing business.
Right.
And all of these things shouldn't be hindered. None of these things should be impeded. And with this action, they are going to impede the trade facilitation processes. And it's not going to augur well for us. And they are saying that they are doing this to help us so that we don't pay demurrages. And if you are helping me, do you have to punish me if I decide not to register for my own good? Do you have to punish me? And then you say that I will be imprisoned.
Let me ask.
They are not telling us the truth.
Let me ask a final question so that I can let you go. So beyond the public rejection of this bill, have you made contact with the office of the president to, have a sit down with him so that what you are asking for at least can be given a hearing?
Yeah. So we are in talk with the transport minister himself. Yesterday, he reached out to me. The president worked through his ministers. And then we are also under the Ministry of Trade. I've sent copies of our statement to them. And I believe that it will reach out to the president. If we have to send it to the president himself, we do it. But we have confidence in our ministers that they will send the message to the presidency.
All right.
But this is not fair. We don't have to go back. But it's a cake. It's a cake. And trade liberalization, that's why when we are going to import that, we have to get approval from somebody. Before you go, you are going to Dubai to buy goods. Then you say, let me go for, let me go and apply that I'm going to buy goods. No, we don't have to add any layer of this stress or frustration to doing business. Already, we have enough on our table.
All right, thank you so much, Dr. Joseph Obin, is president of GUTA, and they have serious reservation with the past Shippers Authority bill, but we're awaiting presidential ascension. Now, to some other stories, and some pharmacists are threatening to sue the health ministry for non-payment of their allowances after completion of their one-year mandatory housemanship. According to them, all efforts to get the ministry to resolve their demands have not yielded the expected results, forcing them to give legal notice. Dr. Prince Alex Apiaje is leader of the group and join me for a quick introduction on this matter. Dr. Apiaje, you're welcome. So what exactly is the story here? You've worked, you've not been paid. If you can help us to understand what this housemanship allowance is about and how come you've not been paid after a year of work?
Thank you. So as pharmacists, when you are done with school, you have to write a professional exam that is by the Pharmacy Council. And then when you pass, by law, you are mandated to do a one-year housemanship, just like our medical counterparts. And so what happens is that during this 1 year, you are supposed to serve, just like how other university graduates will do their national service. And we are basically under the Ministry of Health. So the Ministry of Health is supposed to pay us. And after that year, you get migrated from your professional license to your permanent register. So it is only after that you can fully qualify to be a pharmacist on the permanent register. But before that, you are only on a provisional register. Yeah, so basically that is the process that happens after school.
So meaning you went through the housemanship for a year and no allowance came?
Pardon? I lost you for a bit.
I asked, so you went through the entire housemanship period and did not get the required remuneration?
No, please. So we went through the whole, we finished in May this year. So the whole housemanship period, we were not paid even 1 cedi.
And how much were you expected to earn? Hello, Dr. Apiaje.
I think the network keeps going away. Yeah.
My apologies.
So basically, we are supposed to get a little about 3,500 per month, and so that's times 12 months, and then times the number of people in the class. That's 320. That's just about 13,440,000 in all for everybody in the class.
And what explanation is the ministry providing for their inability to pay?
So from the ministry, they are complaining of inadequate funds. As in, Ghana is struggling economically, and so the ministry is saying that they don't have enough funds. They don't have enough funds to give us clearance from the Ministry of Finance so that we can be paid. And so technically, Ministry of Finance hasn't cleared us. That's what we get from them. So, but then we've done this for 12 months, and we are done. At least we don't even have any official documents to prove that we did this. There are some people that would want to go outside the country for further studies and other things, and they are being required to present a proof of at least completing this housemanship. And there's nothing to show apart from the fact that the hospitals can attest that we were there and we did a diligent job.
So apart from the fact that you work and didn't get the required allowance or pay, you don't also have a certificate to prove that you actually did the housemanship?
So technically, they don't give a certificate after the housemanship, just that you are migrated to the permanent register. But because usually you get a clearance and then it will follow with an appointment letter. So at least anywhere you go, you can provide your appointment letter to say that you worked here because this is your appointment letter. We don't have any of that. But we are done with our 12 months mandatory housemanship. Yeah. And
they've not indicated, even though they've told you that they have financial difficulties, they are waiting for clearance from the Ministry of Finance, they are unable to tell you when this can be resolved?
Yes, they are unable to tell us when. The last time, I think on 1st June, we had is it 1st June or 3rd June, one of them, we had a meeting, and the representative from Ministry of Health said that they've written to Ministry of Finance to give us our money in bulk. I asked when that is possible, and I was told that they cannot give us a time because the Ministry of Finance doesn't know the time that it would be okay to give us this clearance.
And you don't accept this?
We do not accept this because, Ghana has been very hard. And you can imagine what it took people to go through the whole 12 months, going to work every day, sometimes doing 8 hours, 12 hours shifts, eating, taking transport without getting any remuneration. And for us to finish the 12 months with the increased cost of living right now, in fact, even between January to now, prices have skyrocketed prices have skyrocketed about 3 to 4 times. So you can imagine how people have managed all. In fact, by the time the money is given to us, it may have even lost its value, because you know that the amount of money I'm mentioning last year wouldn't be the same amount this year, and we are not even understanding when we'll be paid. And so looking at it, that means that even after October, November, we don't even know when we'll be paid. At least tell us something that, okay, you'll be paid in November or you'll be paid in October. Then we can at least sit down, relax, and wait for that date. But we've not had anything yet. We've not been given any timelines. All we've been told is to wait, and that the Ministry of Finance will give us the go-ahead so that we can be paid.
So what action are you taking to get your money back?
So as it stands now, our lawyers have advised that we write again. We first wrote to the Ministry of Health, and we are writing again to the Ministry of Health and then to the Attorney General that in 30 days, if we don't get a reasonable response, we would have to seek redress in a competent court of jurisdiction.
Meaning to sue, to go to the legal process to get your money?
Yes, please.
All right. Dr. Piaget, thank you so much. We'll follow this story, and then we'll hear from the relevant ministry. Let's stay a little longer in the health sector, because Chief Executive Officer of the Kolebu Teaching Hospital, Dr. Opoku Ware Ampoma, has disclosed that the hospital is now expecting a total of 60 new dialysis machines to augment their services. He has therefore apologized to patients for the inconvenience caused by the recent shutdown of his dialysis unit. He spoke in an interview with my colleague Evans Mensah.
We are still owed some outstanding supply of dialysis machines and other equipment, and so they've given a firm assurance that they are going to bring in another 30 machines. Also,
in addition to the 30 you are getting,
in addition to the 30 we are getting, from the Minister of Health. Just that these ones are still, the particular by the closed system. So, but at least it's still an additional capacity that we are going to have. So with that we can rehabilitate our old dialysis unit. Because the original dialysis unit was on the second floor of the medical block, or the first floor of the medical block. That was the original dialysis unit, and because of most of the machines they had gone into disrepair, so that place is closed. So with these machines coming, we can immediately also reopen that unit so that we can have more options in terms of dialysis services.
So you're going to open an additional unit?
Yes. No, I mean, this was the original unit, okay, and then the dialysis cabin, what we are using now, was an addition. So this was the dialysis cabin we opened it about, I think, 2.5 years ago. So
that's what it's in use now. So when you say you've reopened, that's what you've reopened.
So that's what
the original place is not functional as
because the machines there were not, were not working. And of course, because of the contract arrangement, because we're entitled to get some servicing, some, these machines that we are talking about were supposed to have been supplied, from 2017, but they were not supplied. And, since I inherited this as the CEO, we've been engaged in a lot of back and forth trying to make sure that these machines are released to us. But unfortunately, we're not making any headway. But thankfully, we've had a breakthrough now. And so those machines are going to come on board with other equipment, dialysis chairs and tables and reverse osmosis machines and things like that, which are ancillary equipment that make the dialysis service more efficient. And so we believe that with this breakthrough and with the good news from the Ministry of Health, I think that we don't want to revisit this issue, so we want to get a permanent solution. But I'm also happy to announce that sometimes there's a saying that when life gives you lemons, you make lemonade. So there's a silver lining in all this, in the sense that all this dialysis that we are talking about is one form of dialysis, which is called hemodialysis, where your blood, your veins, are connected to the machine. The machine filters the blood. But then there's another form of dialysis called peritoneal dialysis, okay, which is popular in America and other places, okay, where you have a fluid, okay, and a special type of fluid. And so that fluid is introduced, so a catheter is inserted in the person's abdominal wall. So this catheter is regulated by the person. So the person introduces the fluid into the abdominal cavity. And so the intestines are very vascular. They got a lot of blood. So the exchange, the fluid, that exchange happens. So the toxins are passed into the fluid that you would, you release into the abdomen. And then after a while, they open the valve and then the fluid is drained out, and they can go about their normal duty. So also, patients are taught how to do this. So when they're given a supply of fluids, what they do is that before they go out, they just, insert get the fluid in there, wait maybe an hour or so, 30 minutes or an hour, and then they drain the fluid out, and then they clear their system of, the waste products, and then they can go about their normal duties. Okay, so but the reason why we're not able to provide this service was that we didn't have access to those that type of fluid in Ghana, and because the fluid is heavy, how much, what can you ship, and the cost of shipping, so the price would be very unreasonable. So we're looking at the option of getting a local manufacturer, and thankfully Atlantic Life Sciences, who are a pharmaceutical company, on the road to Ada, so they came on board and have started producing the fluid, So now that they're producing the fluid, they are teaming up with some of our renal physicians and a team from the US to start, a trial in terms of on the local to see how this will work. So once they've done that and done the validation and so on, look at the sort of challenges, how we can address those challenges, we will be able to roll out, what we call peritoneal dialysis, because that now becomes another viable option, because then it also works out cheaper than the hemodialysis. So
this will require the patients to sit for 4 hours.
Exactly. This will require the patients, and they can do it in the comfort of their own homes.
So you can actually do the dialysis in your home.
Yes, exactly. So you are giving your supply of the fluid. So you have to know the quantity. So you insert the quantity introduce the quantity to the catheter into the abdominal cavity. You wait for the exchange to happen, and then you drain it out, and then you are good to go. Okay. So of course there are some. Of course we have to make sure that the patients are well educated on how to do that and all. Of course patient selection is important, but this also gives us more options, so that not everybody has to now rush to a health facility and go in queue, to undergo dialysis. So that is the silver lining in all this.
When is the timeline for this rollout?
They've already started production, so they're going to now start because they're now going through before you can do some of these things, you have to get ethical approval. So they're going, because before you can't just go and run an experiment on human beings without, so they are going through the ethical approval processes, FDA, and the institutional review boards and things like that to get the approval. So once they do the trial and they come out and the results are validated, then we can start rolling this out.
There's still the pause here on Joy News. And let me take you to the Bono East region because that region continued to count, farmers there continue to count their losses after the recent dry spell left their farms vulnerable and their crops dried out due to the absence of adequate water supply. Our regional correspondent, Anas Sabit, visited a 100-acre maize farm in Kintampot South District, where some farmers say they are struggling to salvage their dwindling crops and call on government for support. There's more in this report.
Known by many as the food basket of the nation, the Bono East region produces quite a significant percentage of the food that is being consumed here in the country, with the Techiman Central Market being the major food crop market in the country. The recent drought or dry spell has caused havoc to many farmlands in this part of the country. Maize farmers, cassava farmers, beans farmers, yam farmers, and what have you, all lamenting the difficulties they've been through due to the absence of adequate rains in recent times to ensure that their farm produce, grow well. Today we are here in this part of the country, precisely in the Kintampo South district of the Bono East region, where we are engaging some farmers to ascertain the level of destruction the current dry spell has had on their farmlands.
What has gone into this investment, as far as I know, is very huge. Very, very huge.
Prince John, a poor teacher at the Techiman Senior High School, tells me that he has lost not less than 200,000 Ghana cedis in ensuring that the land is prepared for the investment.
It wouldn't be less than, 200,000. 200, that is about 2 billion. Yeah, more than that. But the rough estimate would be about 2 billion.
Prince, who was inspired by a statement by the president of the land, Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, during a meeting with some teacher unions some few years back, says the outcome of his farm saddens his heart.
Some 2 years ago, the teacher unions, our leaders, went to the president to negotiate, to talk to him on our conditions of service. The president, upon his admission that teachers are no better remunerated, says that nobody can be a teacher and be rich unless we do something, So I said, wow, once the head of state has said this, let me do something. So I was fired up. And that has gotten me this far. So, bro, the more I talk about it, the more sad I become.
After months of hard work, Prince visited his farmland on July 26, and the situation left him in a state of shock.
On the 26th of last month, I came and saw this, my farm. Please, I nearly fainted. So since then, I've been sick. Even I traveled to Accra that day. When I went to Accra, the next day, I was sent to hospital.
The level of destruction here is bizarre, with farmers here unable to, identify how they could salvage at least even an acre of the investments they made into this particular farmland.
Now, I have a very big stress because I don't know how I am going to recoup that 200,000 or 200,000 plus, and how to reinvest. Because if I'm unable to clear this and then save the land, suppress the weeds, it means that these weeds will become something that we cannot control, the fire from entering. So I will lose everything.
The current.
Well, government says they have a plan to address this drought issue, and we're waiting to hear from the Ministry of Food and Agriculture. But before we go, yesterday on election brief, the NDC Deputy General Secretary made some comments regarding alleged plans to rig the election in December. And we issue a disclaimer on this matter, but the Interior Ministry has a response. I'm joined on the line by the Minister for Interior, Henry Kote. Honorable Minister, you're welcome to the Pulse here on Joy News.
Well, I thank you very much.
And you want to react to the allegation made by the Deputy NDC General Secretary, Mustafa Bambi.
Yes, first of all, let me say good afternoon to you, your cherished viewers and listeners.
Thank you.
And also on social media. And before I say so, let me say, without any doubt at all, that for democracy to thrive in any part of the world, it is imperative to ensure that the media is allowed to observe and freedom of speech. In other words, we say freedom of association, freedom of speech and movement. However, it is also important for us to be very circumspect in our choice of words. Now, yesterday, you had the occasion to interview the Deputy General Secretary of the NDC, Mr. Mustafa Bande. And in the interview, he is heard to have made a categorical statement on your platform that myself, Henry Korti, which he mentioned, the Minister of the Interior, the Deputy IGP, and he mentions DNR. First of all, I would have thought that as a Deputy General Secretary of a major political party, a leading political party, he would have known that there's nothing like DNI anymore. So let me educate him.
Right.
There is nothing like DNI. It is called NIB, the National Investigations Bureau. First point of correction. Number two, he alleges that we have met, and the purpose of our meeting is to rig elections. I think, once again, this statement is very, very unfortunate, coming from a Deputy General Secretary of a big political party like the NDC. He is making a very wild allegation. He is inciting the public. And I, unfortunately, will have to say that your platform was used. So perhaps you have to get him to retract, because I'll be waiting. If he doesn't do so, then I'll seek legal redress for him to show, beyond all reasonable doubt, proof that the Interior Minister, in fact, for his correction again, is Director National Investigations Bureau, NIB. I think it's National Intelligence, rather, sorry, my apologies. National Intelligence Bureau, and the Deputy IGP planning to rig elections. He goes on to ask Gabriel to it. This cannot continue. I have said severally, and I'll repeat again, that Mr. President is very clear in his mind that he wants to leave the country the way he met it. He's a lawyer, and he doesn't think that the best way to win elections is with violence. In any case, if President Akufo-Addo had wanted to come into power through violence, the proper time, the best time for him to have done that was in 2012, when he said no, though he believes that he won election, he doesn't think we have to hit on the street, but rather go to a court of a competent jurisdiction for sale to be decided there. And you will recall that we went to court. When I say we, the NPP led by then the flag bearer of NPP to court several months, which the president goes there himself and the vice president, and that is where the you and I were not there.
Right.
We sat patiently throughout, and when the result or the ruling was made, I asked the president again. He said, though I disagree with the decision, in the interest of the country, I accept the decision of the courts, of the competent jurisdiction.
Right.
And that is where he told all supporters of NPP, the courts have spoken. And so that's it. Let's move on.
Right.
Don't you think that today, when you say the same, you say that this same person who was then campaigning or had campaigned and thought that he's won election, and by all standards when we went to court, it was clear. That is when you should have rigged the election. That is when you should have gotten boys to hit on the street. Now that is exiting. He wants to rig elections. He wants to create violence. It's rather unfortunate. And I think that this goes to the senior members of political parties. Let us be careful what we say. We have only one country, it's Ghana. After all, what is the big deal? People are going to exercise their franchise. And I've said, I'll repeat again, Mr. President is clear in his mind. He wants to leave the Ghana that he met, probably in a better place or
better shape
than he left it, than he met it.
Right.
So, as an interior minister, I've said it severally, and I'll say it again on this platform. We will hand over power peacefully. There will be a peaceful transition. If, and I use the word if, the good people of this country decide that they want change. There is no way that NPP is going to hold on to power if the people speak. When the people vote and they say, hey, NPP, well, of all the things that you've done for us, free education, free SHS, infrastructure development, NHIS, all these things. If people think that, look, they want us to go, yes, we will hand over peacefully. But, and I repeat, but, so long as we live and we remain in power, and the security apparatus and architecture of this country remain, nobody, and I say, nobody will misbehave in this country. If they do, we will let the law deal with them. This kind of questioning work must stop, and they have to stop.
Right.
People have to campaign on their campaign promises and whatever, and then people will vote for them. We will not sit and watch people take the law into their own hands. It will not happen. So if Mustafa Bandi thinks that he's preferring an army to create violence, then he should be ready, because he said we should be ready. The security architecture will be ready for him. That I can assure him.
All right. Honorable,
there will be no violence. Anybody who attempts to respect it.
All right.
People will go and vote. And when they vote, whoever wins, hallelujah. But not before then. Or rather, before then. Nobody should threaten anybody in this country. Why?
I appreciate the intervention, but let me also put on record that on the show yesterday, the host issued a disclaimer, you know, distancing 3 days ago, distancing multimedia from that allegation because we couldn't verify it. The Interior Minister, Henry Kote, thank you so much for your intervention here on the post. Folks, that's our show for today. For more stories, log on to our website, myjoyonline.com. And of course, whatever you are up to this weekend, I hope it's profitable. Tomorrow, we have a live coverage of the NDC manifesto launch here on Joy News and, of course, on Joy 99.7 FM, starting at exactly 12 midday. Until then, keep the faith alive. My name is Elton Brobe. Have a lovely weekend.